David Corenswet's idea for an R-rated Superman can perfectly go alongside a DC comic story that James Gunn needs to adapt for the DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Written by Joe Kelly and published in March 2001, a comic book titled What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way was released, featuring a team of ruthless heroes called the Elite. Although James Gunn and David Corenswet Superman isn't out yet, talks and plans for another Superman project have already spread on the internet, with Corenswet taking the lead. The actor revealed to Nerdist that he wanted a darker and grittier approach for the role of Superman in the near future. Not that there would be graphical violence like The Boys, but Corenswet wanted his Superman to have more of a true detective feel. I would love to see this Superman in an R-rated project, in a thing like Lanterns where it's that true detective feel. He continued, "In spite of how bright and playful this version is, I think there's room to be flexible. Although James Gunn's take on Superman has been more of a light and family-friendly version of the Man of Steel, we do think that there's room to be flexible. In fact, we have the perfect story that James Gunn can adapt into his next Superman movie that also goes perfectly with The Authority, another upcoming DCU project. Transporting him to Jovian's Moon Io, the Elites and Superman battle it out with each Elite landing a brutal hit on Superman. Finally, all the members are slowly attacked by an unseen Superman who literally kills them. As Superman neutralizes the threat of Manchester, who had the power of telekinesis, he reveals that the Elites were alive and were in prison. The Man of Steel gives a great speech on morals and how he will always stand for what's right, even if he's in a dream or the real world. Well, we think James Gunn might find the perfect R-rated Superman story here for David Corenswet, and there's a very good reason why. The Elite didn't hold back on their punches and would kill terrorists on sight, which found them with a plethora of support from the public. However, when Superman confronts the team about their ruthless ways, Superman and the Elites get off on the wrong foot. Taking part in revolutions and coups d'états, the Authority have never cared for what the law will say or allow them to do. Since a movie about them has been confirmed by James Gunn, it only makes sense that the Authority can behave like the Elites in nearby future. This will allow for David Corenswet Superman to confront them, and the storyline of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way can continue from then on. It was recently confirmed that the Authority would be an upcoming DCU project under the reign of James Gunn. Well, the Authority is a team of superheroes who care little about politics and law and do whatever they want to do according to their will. This will give David Corenswet Superman the dark and grittiness he needs in his upcoming project while also maintaining the continued storyline of James Gunn's DCU. Sounds like a win-win for everyone. Do you think James Gunn should adapt this comic book for the DCU? Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Taking part in revolutions and coups d'états, the Authority have never cared for what the law will say or allow them to do. Since a movie about them has been confirmed by James Gunn, it only makes sense that the Authority can behave like the Elites in nearby future. This will allow for David Corenswet Superman to confront them, and the storyline of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way can continue from then on. There's an obvious way that Zack Snyder can be brought into the new DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Snyder was known for directing many of the DCU's movies, including Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. The director eventually moved away from the superhero universe to direct some of his passion projects like Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon, but that doesn't rule Snyder out from returning to the DCU under Gunn. James Gunn's new DCU is now in full swing, putting to bed the past films and series in the DCU, including many of Zack Snyder's works. However, the new DCU has a project on its slate that would be perfect to reintegrate Snyder into the cinematic book universe. Finding the right DCU project for Snyder would be an easy way to appease these fans and give the director a chance to return to his comic book movie expertise. One issue lies in Snyder's reluctance to return to the DC world. In December 2023, Snyder told The Atlantic he was not knocking on James Gunn's door, asking to be let back into the DC. However, he also expressed interest to The Hollywood Reporter at the time in making a Dark Knight Returns adaptation for the DCU, so there's a chance the right project could bring him back. The old DCU was heavily influenced by the tone and style of Zack Snyder. While James Gunn and Peter Safran's new DCU is going in a different direction, that doesn't mean it can't still incorporate other directors' visions. In fact, Bringing Snyder back could actually be of benefit to the new DCU, as the director brings with him a passionate fanbase eager to see him take on more superhero projects. Early in 2023, Gunn and Safran announced The Authority, which has been described as DC's version of The Boys. The Authority features a team of heroes gathered from Wildstorm Comics, one of whom will make an appearance in 2025 Superman. The group is something of an anti-Justice League and, while they are good-intentioned, the group is more cynical and aggressive in their methods to protect the planet. As for what that project might be, it can't be something he has done before. The character of Superman is being taken over by Gunn himself in the 2025 Superman reboot, and Batman is handled by multiple directors in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 and Andy Muschietti's The Brave and the Bold. Instead, Snyder needs a DC project that takes him back to his roots and suits his darker tone and sensibilities. Luckily, there is such a project on the docket for the DCU's first phase. No filmmaker is presently attached to The Authority, although Gunn has made it clear the concept is a passion project of his. However, the director is already quite busy directing Superman, writing Creature Commandos Season 2, and overseeing the entire DCU slate. It's possible, and almost likely, that Gunn won't have time to board the project as a director, but he could attach himself to it as a writer. In some ways, The Authority is similar to Alan Moore's Watchmen, which was a satirization and deconstruction of the superhero genre. One filmmaker who knows about Watchmen is Snyder, who directed a film adaptation of the graphic novel in 2008. Watchmen may have earned middling reviews, but that doesn't derail Snyder's experience and understanding of the superhero genre. Directing a project like The Authority would allow Snyder to play in the new DCU while returning to his darker Watchmen roots, giving him essentially a third chance at the superhero genre. The two creatives clearly make a good writer-director duo, so The Authority seems like the perfect project to reunite Gunn and Snyder. The Authority also serves as the perfect re-entry point for Snyder back into the comic book movie universe in a way that appeases fans of the Snyderverse while still allowing the director a fresh chance at the superhero genre. In 2023, Gunn mentioned to Collider that he'd already written much of the outline for The Authority himself, so he could potentially bump himself up to write the script and then bring in another director to take it from there. When it comes to choosing that director, Snyder is a logical choice given his and Gunn's work history. In 2004, the duo worked together on Dawn of the Dead, which was Snyder's breakout hit as a director thanks to a script that was penned by Gunn. To this day, Dawn of the Dead remains one of Snyder's most acclaimed works. David Corenswet's idea for an R-rated Superman can perfectly go alongside a DC comic story that James Gunn needs to adapt for the DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Written by Joe Kelly and published in March 2001, a comic book titled What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way was released, featuring a team of ruthless heroes called the Elite. Although James Gunn and David Corenswet Superman